of you, and thank you for joining us today. This webinar has been organized by Money Life Foundation, and we are a 10-year-old nonprofit, and our primary goal is to spread financial literacy and help address a wide spectrum of issues that impact you and I as a customer. In continuation with the first webinar that we did on how to effectively prepare a legal will, we realized the importance and the eagerness among people. And we are today very happy to have with us CA Vimal Punmiya ji, who's going to break down the important aspects of the recent Supreme Court judgment, which now allows daughters to have an equal right to ancestral property by birth. So I would now like to introduce our speaker for the day. Mr. Vimal Punmiya is a very renowned chartered accountant and the proprietor of Vimal Punmiya and Company for the past 45 years. He's written numerous books on a wide range of subjects and has also spoken on a variety of topics of public interest like the budget, income tax, and audit provisions, among other subjects. He's also held top-ranking positions at various cultural organizations and is a member of the standing committee of the TDS committee appointed by the Income Tax Department. For his work, he has also received numerous prestigious awards from prominent trade bodies and voluntary organizations. So without taking too much of your time, I'd like to spell out a few ground rules, which all of us have to strictly adhere to. We've kept all of you strictly on mute during the entire session, which is for the benefit of all the participants involved and also for the speaker, so that the entire focus is only on the speaker. For optimal viewing, I would request you to keep the webinar on speaker view. This meeting is being recorded and the entire video will be uploaded on our YouTube channel, Money Life TV. During the question and answer session, which will happen after the presentation is done, my request is please use the raise hand button option available on Zoom if you wish to ask any questions. Also, please note all your homes and backgrounds are visible to us. So if you wish to protect your privacy, then you can also keep your cameras switched off now. So without taking too much of your time, I think I would now like to hand it over to Punmiya ji. Sir, can you please take us through the presentation?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Respected Suchita ji, my friend Mr. Arvind Natarajan, and friends. Today's topic is will, nomination, and daughter's right in property in view of the recent decision of Supreme Court delivered on 11th of August 2020 in the case of Vanita Sharma vs. Rakesh Sharma. Now friends, a daughter gets property from two ways, from father's individual property and father's HUA property. So let us discuss what is individual, what are the right and duty of individual, and what are the right of daughter in the case of HUA property. Now as far as individual property is concerned, in case of an individual property, for example, I am a owner of certain properties, maybe my self-acquired property, maybe inherited from my father from his individual asset, or my father might have gifted me, or he must have made a will in my favor. But those are my individual property. So those property I can make a will. In case I don't make a will, then it is known as a intestate, and it will go as per the Hindu law. So before we understand further, we have to basically understand two laws. One is the Hindu Succession Act 1956, and second is Indian Succession Act 1925. If I make a will, then it will be covered under Indian Succession Act 1925. If I don't make a will, then it will be divided as per Hindu Succession Act 1956. Now friends, in case, let us assume I have not made a will. Then we discuss about the will part and then Supreme Court decision and HUA part. Now if I not made a will, then what will happen? It will be known as in property without will. And in that case, as per the Hindu law, class 1, class 2, agnates, cognates, these are the various areas where the asset will be divided. Now who comes under class 1? In class 1, my son, my daughter, my wife, my mother, all four will be there and it will be equally divided. For example, I have 2 sons and 2 daughters, 1 wife, 1 mother, and all are alive, then it will be 6 part and it will go to all equally 1, 6, 1, 6, 1, 6. For example, my mother is not there, then her share will come to an end. Let us assume my wife is also not there that one day. Then, for example, out of my 2 sons, 1 son died before marriage, 1 daughter also expired before marriage, there only 1 daughter and 1 son remain, and then accordingly both will get 50-50. Now here one must consider, for example, I have a adopted child, then that child also will have equal right in my asset like any other son or daughter, and that child will not get share from his real biological father. For example, I have some relationship with some girl. That girl will not get anything. But if child born out of that, then that person will have equal right in my property, and they are at par with my son and daughter. Now, in this system, if for, let us take example, my child is married, my son is married, but he predeceases me. Before my death, he dies. Then his share, whatever 1/3 or 1/5 or 1/4, whatever share come to his share, will go to his wife and his children equally. Let us say my daughter, after 11th, after the amendment, 9th September 2005, when law was amended in Hindu Succession Act, and from that day onwards, in case my daughter is right is also there, in my individual property also, if I have not made any will, then her share, in case if he predeceases me, then her share will go to her children equally. So in this system, it is known as a class 1. Now, if there is nobody in a class 1, all predecease me or nobody is there, my mother, wife, son, daughter, nobody is there now, then we have to go to the class 2. When the class 1 and class 2 will apply, if there is no will. Now, in class 2 is concerned, it will go to 100% will go to my father. Mother is already covered in class 1. Father is not in the class 1. So 100% will go to my father. But for example, my father was also not there that day. He predeceased me. Then son's daughter's son and son's daughter's daughters, means grandchildren, they will get it. And my brother and sister all will get equally. In case nobody is there in this class 2 first category, then we have to go to the second category. Daughter's son's son, means daughters from daughter's side grandchildren, daughter's son's daughter, daughter's daughter's son. So my daughter's side, her children and her grandchildren will get the share. Now let us assume that they are also not there. Then brother's son, sister's son, brother's daughter and sister's daughter, they will get equally. So they will all fall in class 2. If earlier one, nobody is there then. Now for example, my brother's son and sister's children are also not there. Then father's father, means my grandfather and grandmother will get it. If they are also not there, then my father's widow, my father for example got married twice. First one was my mother, biological mother. Then she is already covered in class 1. Then stepmother will get under class 2 if nobody is there up to that stage. So father's widow, father's father and father's mother. Then father's widow and brother's widow, my stepmother and my brother's wife, all will get equally. For example, they are also not there. Then there is a concept called agnates in the Hindu law. And Hindu, that means father's brother and father's sister equally, they will get it. If they are also not there, then it will go to mother's side. Mother's father, my nana and nani, mother's father and mother's mother. If they are also not there, then mother's brother and sister, they will get equally. Now let us assume that nobody is there in class 2 in all the 9 categories. Then it will go to President of India. So class 1, class 2, agnates, cognates, and then President of India. So that will be the situation if there is a no will and person dies without making a will, and individual property will be divided like this. So son, daughter, mother, wife, they are there, they fall in the first category only, and all will be at equal. Son and so that is as far as non-will is concerned. Now let us come to the system of the will, because I will not deal in the detail because we already discussed, because I will touch on the Supreme Court judgment. But in short, I will tell you what is the will. Important things of the will, I will just tell you a few items. After my death, how I want my asset to be distributed, that is called the will. Now will can be made by Hindu, Christian, Parsi, Muslim. Now when we say Hindu means Jain, Buddha, Sikh and normal Hindu. All are covered under the Hindu. For Parsi and Christian, they are covered under Indian Succession Act. As for Hindus are concerned, Hindu Succession Act. Muslims are concerned, they have their Shia and Sunni separate law. Now, for example, a Muslim want to make a will, because under Muslim law, they cannot make a will of more than 1/3 of their asset. 2/3 will go as per the Mohammedan law. But in case they want to also distribute equally or unequally or not as per the Mohammedan law, then first line they have to write, they are making will under Indian Succession Act. First line that will be there, and then they can also divide whatever they want. Similarly, Parsi don't want to follow the Indian Succession Act, they want to follow Parsi law, they can do that also. Christian is concerned, it will be Indian Succession Act. Hindu is concerned, it will be Hindu Succession Act. And this will apply only after death. Till death, person can make changes whenever they want. A person of a sound mind, married woman, a person who cannot hear, cannot speak, cannot see, but he understands what he's making, that person, and person of unsound mind, but when he's in common senses, when he's in senses, he knows what he's doing, those persons are capable of making a will. But a minor less than 18 years cannot make a will, he should be more than 18 years. But it is also known, a person who is a drunk, who is not in his senses, minor below of age of 18 years, a convicted like Dawood Ibrahim, Chota Rajan, those person cannot make a will. A person, for example, a trustee in a temple, trustee in a charitable trust, partner in a partnership firm, director in a company, or he is the representing Hindu undivided family, HUF, that person also cannot make will of that asset. I can make will of my asset. I cannot say Churchgate Registration will go to my son and Vitty will go to my daughter and Bombay Airport will go to my wife, because they don't belong to me. So I can make a will of my property and not of somebody else's property. So that way, it is said normally in our Rajasthani language, whenever you want to make a will, keep ice on the head, sugar on the tongue, and love in the heart. So don't get panic with just now I have fight with my wife and I say, okay, I don't give her anything, or I have fight with my son. So it should be not, when you are very happy, and when you are very sad, better not to take decision of that time for making a will. When you are in normal mind, think of making a will. Then, a will is important because you can divide whatever way you want your individual property. Because otherwise, it will go as per the Hindu law. So, under the will, I can divide whatever way I want. For example, I have two sons. One is doing very well. Second is handicapped. For handicapped son, I want to make a trust. I have two daughters. One is well-to-do. Second is widower, staying with me. Then I want to make more provision for her. Then I must make a will. And I also make for handicapped child or daughter a trust also. So that all permitted in the will only if I make a will. So will have their own benefits. For example, I have two sons. One is a criminal. Half of the time he remain in jail. I don't want to give anything. I don't want to give my wife, who's adultery, some charges there of adultery to her. Then in that situation, I can avoid them by making a will, not otherwise. Similar way, will has to be written only Army, Air Force and Navy. Those person can make oral will when at the time of war, for example, that is just now near, and then presence of two army men, they can make a declaration, my asset is to be divided like this. But later on, if real will is also found which he made in the past, then the oral declaration will have no meaning and it will be divided as per the will. Otherwise, will has to be in a writing, but movable property can be divided without the, can be distributed without making a will also. But all immovable property has to be by will. Movable property can be given by way of a delivery. Muslim can also make a oral will provided he make a declaration at the time of death in presence of two persons. As per Muslim law, I told you, male get double than the female. But again, if they make under Indian Succession Act, they can be, there is no prescribed format. But one should be clear what person ka name, address, age must come. The name of a relative must come. He must say, I am making this last will and a real or will, I am cancelling that. His all movable property, immovable property also must appear in the will. And what property is given to whom also must appear there. And similar way, he can write last column, any person, if I acquire any more property or I sell any property, how that will be taken care of. If today I may have 10 property, tomorrow I may have 20. So the remaining, whatever new property will come, 10 property, who will get that? So that also can be defined in the will, and that accordingly provision can be made. So I don't have to change every time. Will need not be on stamp paper, it is on plain paper. Typing is there, it is a better. Otherwise, if my handwriting is good, then that also is okay. But sometimes what happens, many persons write and they can't read their own handwriting. Such cases, if type will is there, it is better. If you are giving more asset to somebody, some relative, or less asset to somebody, then we must write clearly why I am giving more to such son or daughter or wife, and why I am giving less to that person. Because otherwise that person will be able to challenge. So for example, my son who is doing very well, I want to provide less for him. My daughter is already rich, I want to provide less for him. son who is a criminal, I don't want to provide anything for him. So I must write in the will itself why I am giving more to Mr. So-and-so and why I am giving less to Mr. So-and-so. So then it, again, signature of testator on each and every page is very important. Last page, witness has to sign in the presence of this person. Witness has to witness need not know the content of the will, but witness must know, must certify that person has signed in our presence. Both witness did not sign on the same time. But what will happen if one witness signed today and I sign in his presence? Tomorrow I go to talk to some another place. He may write a different date. And again I have to sign before him, so my signature will be twice. So it is better that two persons sit together. I sign in their presence. Both witnesses also sign. Take a photograph and staple with the will. So there is no confusion later on. Otherwise, many times wills are challenged on that ground only. So two witnesses is very important. I will just tell you, recently I had one matter in Pune. One person had wealth of more than 30,000 crore. He made a will, signed also, but not taken witness of two witnesses' signature. Then it was all ready. Registration is not necessary. It is optional. If you do get registration, Government of Maharashtra is witness to your transaction, witness to your will. Then it is more authentic in the court of law. Tomorrow somebody challenges. But otherwise, will which is not registered is perfectly okay. Two witnesses must. You have to appoint one executor who will do when I will be not there, who will collect all the asset and distribute. So I can appoint one executor. Sometimes you appoint executor who is young, but many times it happens executor dies before the testator. Testator means person who is making a will. So I can say Mr. X will be executor. In case of absence, Mr. Y will be executor. But in case I have not appointed executor, my all legal heir will be executor. So that all legal heir means person who is beneficiary in the will, all will be the executor and they will distribute the asset. So executor is also optional, but it is better to for smooth working of that. If will I have not registered today, after my death, there is a provision that my beneficiary and my executor can make a declaration, and even after my death they can register the will, because many government departments don't accept the will without registration. Legally it is not required, but government department say it is not registered, you will not recognize, will not transfer your money or whatever. Or you obtain the probate, which may take another 1 year and costing also 75,000 fees, another expenditure of legal charges of 1 lakh. So sometime after death also will can be registered by the beneficiary and a executor. If no executor, all beneficiaries come together. But if there is some dispute in the will, somebody challenges the will, then registration may be difficult. Otherwise registration is possible. Two witnesses are very, very important. Then privilege and non-privilege will, I told you, army person when they make at a time of war, it is a privileged will. Normal when we make a will, which is unprivileged will. Legal condition, if I put a condition, everything will go to my son, provided he take care of my wife. Such conditions will be valid. But if I say I will give to Mr. A, provided he do the murder of Mr. B, such condition is not valid. So legal condition I can put. Joint will is also possible. Me and my wife make a joint will. But that will be, my wife can give disposal of property separately, I dispose separately, but both will be distributed only after death of both of us. So similar way, there will be mutual will. My wife make will in my favor. If I am not there, then children. I make will in favor of my wife. If she is not there, then the children. So they are called mutual will. Duplicate will means person make more will, more copies of a one will. That is known as a duplicate will. So you can keep at 10 places, one with advocate, one with chartered accountant, one with your bank locker. And accordingly, end of the day, after death, it should be found. Many times it happens, person make a will and keep in such a way that is found only after 20 years after the death, and before that they already distributed all the asset. So it is better. Then the concurrent will, I have asset in India, I have asset outside India, I can make a separate will for Indian property, I can make a separate property for foreign assets. So in case Bombay, I apply for probate and court will take away my will, they will not return back. So if I have to apply probate in USA, then how I will get that? So I can make a separate will for foreign country, separate will for Indian asset. Bogus will, if somebody had took pressure and you have signed, for example, some lady comes to you, say daughter-in-law or daughter or wife, they say I will commit suicide, otherwise make a signed will in my favor. Or doctor at the time of operation theatre take your signature. Or advocate say you sign right now, otherwise I will not attend to your cases. Or Dawood Ibrahim come and show me the pistol and take my signature. In that situation, if within 7 days I make a declaration, those will is treated as a bad and bogus will, sham will, they have no value, it is illegal and bad in law. Executor, whether executor who is doing all exercise, whether that person can be a witness, executor who will perform all the duty after the death, it is better not to keep him as a witness. But beneficiary, if there is a sole beneficiary, better to avoid that person also as a witness. But for example, somebody is getting a small part of your asset, that person can be a witness. Under Parsi law, beneficiary cannot be witness. Under Muslim law, witness is not required. So, own property, I can make, again I told you, I can make a will of my own property, not somebody else's property. If I forgotten something, or I purchased more property, or sold some more property, then I can make a codicil to the will. I don't have to amend the whole will again. I have to simply amend the codicil part. Same name will be written, executor will be written, what amendment I want to make, that 1 or 2 paragraph will be written, name will be annexed there. And if a will earlier I registered, it is advisable to register this will also. But for example, will is registered, but codicil is not registered, that is also valid. Earlier will is registered, and I change the will and not registered new will, that is also valid. It is not that once I register, I have to register every time also. There are a number of cases which I will not bother, but make a will only if, because it will be effective after death. Many times person prefer that after death there will be some litigation. Let me give a gift of my asset today. Give gift to the children or whatever you want, only if you have an excess asset. If you have a limited asset, better not to give gift, because there are the cases of GL Raheja, Singhania family, they have given everything in the lifetime only. At the end of the day, they had no money with themselves. So better to not to give gift. If you have excess, worried about inheritance tax in the future, then yes, you can give. But always keep substantial money for you and for your wife, and balance only can be given as a gift. Otherwise, as far as will is concerned, till you are alive, you are the owner of the property. You can dispose of whatever you want. And at the time of death, if that will remain, then only you can, the person will get it, otherwise not get it. No stamp duty is applicable. If you receive after death also, no stamp duty, no income tax applicable. Many times ladies come and they ask me the question, I have a jewelry, but I am not declaring the income tax and I want to make a will. So how to do? Friend, in 1994, when Manmohan Singh was the finance minister, he brought one circular. A married woman can have gold ornament to the extent of 500 gram. Unmarried can have to the extent of 250 gram. A male can have to the extent of 100 gram. And no question is asked. So if you write up to this quantity, there is no problem. But for example, you want to write more than that, then looking to the status of a person, you can write. If you already declared more than that in your record, income tax or wealth tax record, you can write that. If you have a purchase evidences, you can write that. But for example, you have written more quantity and your death take place after 6 years, then again nothing to worry. Why I say this? Because department cannot travel beyond 6 years. If I make a will today and I have purchased one flat, say 4 years back, and I paid some money under the table and not shown to the income tax department, I want to make will of that property today. And if I make will today and income and my death take place maybe after say 3 years, so my date of purchase and date of death, there is a gap of 7 years. So will be open only after 7 years. And that situation, department cannot do if something has happened 6 years back. I will give you an example. One of my clients, Mr. Murarka, was raided by income tax department. From his locker, jewelry of 50 lakh and hard cash of 50 lakh was found. Customer has asked to Mr. Murarka, sir, what is the source of this? And Murarka said, this is all unaccounted. The department said, unaccounted, pay tax on this. Murarka Saab said, I will not pay. Department said, why? He said, I earned this jewelry 7 years back or 8 years back. I have not purchased in last 8 years. Okay? Because I have not operated the bank locker in last 7 years. My wife passed away 7 years back and I have not touched the locker after that. Reserve Bank of certified currency was printed 7-8 years back. Jewelry was packed in a newspaper, which all papers were dated 7-8 years back. And jewelry design was also 7-8 years back. Along with the jewelry, there was a valuation report which was dated 8 years back. And department could not do anything. So that is why when you make a will, a reasonable time, if you feel it is already over to that extent, then one can go ahead with that. Probate, normally Bombay, Maharashtra, Bengal and Madras, 3 places probate is important. Other part of our country, probate is not required. Maharashtra mein probate fees maximum is 75,000. In Calcutta, in Bengal, it is 50,000. In Chennai, it is 25,000. And of course, some professional fees is also involved. So one can apply for probate, but to avoid that, you can make always joint account. Jointly with me, for example, I given flat to my wife, then I must make file nomination form also in favor of my wife, and then that problem will be over. Automatically society will transfer, and already as per will property in her name only. Then probate can be avoided. Bank account also I can make a joint account, or I can appoint nomination. So wherever chances of problem is there and wherever assets are there. But in case I have a bungalow, I have a plot in BMC or collector's property or Bombay Port Trust property, those persons are not going to transfer. So then I have to apply for the probate. So probate also is another thing. Through the will, I can make lot of planning. I can create HUF. I can give to my daughter-in-law who have no capital. I can divide equally or unequally without consent or with consent of family member. I can form a trust, because my number of clients have formed number of trusts. They've already formed the trust today. But under the will, they say this much money will go to this trust, which will take care of my bungalow. This much money will go, which will take care of my household expenditure. Trust will go to this much money, which will take care of my business investments. And so much will go under charity. So you can make number of trusts also. But then under will, you can only allocate the money. If you want to make a trust under the will, then you can make only one trust and not more than one. Nomination also like will, we can change every time. Nomination also like HUF, company, firm, they cannot file nomination. Nomination also is allowed only to the individual. Now again, same condition, nominee has to be a major, sound mind. Whatever conditions are applicable to will, that apply here also. First nomination with the society is always free. When you want to make second nomination, you have to pay 5 rupee fees. And it will be transferred only after death. Many times you apply to the society. In case there is a will, then you have to obtain probate in case society or the company insists. If there is no will, then you have to apply succession certificate if you have only movable properties. And you have to apply letter of administration in case you have your immovable property. So these three, will is there, then probate, will is not there, succession certificate or letter of administration. If no immovable property, then succession certificate. If movable property is there, then letter of administration. So that way one can consider what you want actually. If share certificate is not available, you can apply to the society. It's a will and nomination. I will just give you an example. If I make a will in favor of Mr. A, or I make a nomination in favor of Mr. A, and before that there is some family settlement. I will give you an example. There was a bungalow at Jew. One person was there, Mr. Ghanekar, his wife, his son and daughter. Son and daughter both were staying separately in Borivali and Kandivali area, and he and his wife are staying in the bungalow in Jew. Now one day what happened, there was a family settlement deed. Mr. Ghanekar have already filed nomination with the society in favor of his wife. Now there was a family settlement. The whole life Mr. Ghanekar and Mrs. Ghanekar will have right to stay in the bungalow. After death of Mr. Ghanekar, Mrs. Ghanekar will stay. In case Mrs. Ghanekar passed away first, then Mr. Ghanekar will stay. After their death, this property will go to the son. And the daughter, they already provided another flat, another investment. And it was signed, it was known as a family arrangement deed. Signed by all the family members, which is buying on family member. Now, meantime, what happened? After death of Mr. Ghanekar, Mrs. Ghanekar went to the society, nomination form was already there, society transferred property name of Mrs. Ghanekar. Then what happened? The Mrs. Ghanekar also agreed this property to sell to one builder called Vardhaman Builder and taken some earnest money. Now, meantime, son have come to know, the son has filed case against the Vardhaman Builder and against the mother under family settlement. I am entitled for this bungalow. Vardhaman Builder have also filed case against Mr. Ghanekar, Mrs. Ghanekar for specific performance. And finally, matter went to the Supreme Court. And what Supreme Court said, under lifetime of the person, property was already allocated to a son as per the family arrangement. So nomination where mother was holding only as a nominee, as a trustee on behalf of the son. Mother have no right to sell the property. So basically what I want to say, will is the supreme. If you already made certain family settlement right under the lifetime, then even that is more supreme. For example, I've given gift to my son. I made a will in favor of my wife about my flat. And during my lifetime, I've given that flat to my son. Because if you give gift to the son, daughter, wife, daughter-in-law who is a widow, then only stamp duty is 500 rupee, registration fees is only 200 rupee. And I already given gift to my son. So after my death, and will, my flat is not there now. It is already given to son. So wife will not get anything. And lot of concession has been given in stamp duty also. I think, friends, we now pass on to go to the Supreme Court decision because time is passing. Now let us come to the Supreme Court decision. What happened in case of Vanita Sharma vs. Rakesh Sharma, which is right of a daughter in a father's HUF property, because individual property we already discussed. The judgment is connected only with the Hindu undivided family property, not nothing with individual. Individual mein daughters are already provided and there is no will. If there is a will, I can divide whatever way I want. So under this judgment, what happened? On 9th of September 2005, law was amended. A daughter has equal right. Earlier law was, if daughter get married, she ceases to be part of your family. A daughter-in-law come to your family, she is a member of your family. Any child born in the family, that person become co-pastor of your family. But after marriage of the daughter, she ceases to be a part of the family. Unmarried daughter earlier had a right of only maintenance, not a co-pastoral right of partition. So the judgment came, this amendment came on 9th September 2005, and the judgment says a daughter born in a family will have equal right at par with the son. And accordingly, this law was there. Then few person still litigation was going on. So one case came before Prakash and others versus Fulvati in Supreme Court somewhere in 2016. And that judgment Supreme Court said, on 9 December 2005, if father is alive and daughter is also alive, then only amendment will be applicable. Daughter already passed away before that, will have no right. Father passed away before that, means main karta, then daughter will have no right. So that was followed. Then in 2018, Supreme Court has given another judgment in case of Damanna versus Amar and others. What in that case happened? Supreme Court said, daughter get right by a birth in a HUF property. The birth is concerned, they said, in whether daughter is born before 2005 or after 2005, daughters have a right. And both the judgments were by 2-2, and whether father passed away or not passed away, father's property is there, father's HUF is there, karta may be somebody else. After death of father, eldest son or eldest daughter must have become karta. Eldest son only become, daughter got power after 9 September 2005 only. So both were the, so both, if father or daughter died or not died, if asset is there, daughter will have right. In case daughter death has taken place, then her legal heirs, son and daughter will have right in the HUF property. So there were two controversy. One judgment say father and daughter should be alive. Second judgment of Supreme Court say father or daughter is not alive, then also there is a right. So what happened? Another bench was constituted of the 3 judges. And this judgment on 11th of August 2020 have come by 3 judgments. And that judgment is known as a Vanita Sharma versus Rakesh Sharma. Now this judgment is in between something. Not 2016 judgment they followed, not 2000, partly they followed, partly not followed, and they add something more than that. What that judgment say? They said whether father alive or not alive, daughter alive or not alive, that right is there. But they put a rider to this, in case any partition had taken place before 20th of December 2004, partition taken place accepted by all government agencies, and it is a genuine partition, then daughter will have no right to reopen that. So daughter will have no right. In case no partition taken place, matter end. Partition taken place after 20th of December 2004, that will be not valid. Partition taken place before 20th December 2004 and already registered. Now what happened? If you make a deed, partition deed, immovable property is there, then of course you go for registration, so it is a final. In case there is no immovable property, only movable property, then you don't have to register. Or there may be flat in a cooperative society where registration is under section 41 of Maharashtra Cooperative Society Act, registration is optional and it is not registered, then also it is a final. For example, I made a partition, applied to Income Tax Department, and ITO pass order under section 171. If HU is access to income tax, because ITO is to recognize finally. Or under HU partition, we have given money to all the family members, and money is already given, it is debited to bank account, transaction over up to 20th of December 2004, then it is already accepted and recognized. If something is fishy, something is pending, then of course subject to litigation. Otherwise, now what is the law says? Daughter have equal right. If daughter is not there on that day, then her children will get the asset, whatever comes to her share. Father also, there or not there, will have no problem. The asset is there from father. When father was the founder, father was the karta, then daughter will have a right. But if anything happen up to 20th of December 2004, then daughter will have no right because it is already over. Now, if HUF is not assessed to income tax and partial partition is also permitted, because under income tax law, after 31st December 1978, partial partition is not allowed. you to do complete partition. But let us assume that it is not assessed to income tax. Income is not that much they pay tax. Under Hindu law, partial partition is permitted. So they, for example, partially they've already divided. Income is not there, but only assets are there. And partially asset is there. Then they will able to, whatever divided, then matter will be over. Whatever left over, daughter will get right in that. With the consent of daughter, they can make unequal partition also. But otherwise, in my HUF, let us say, me, my wife, my son, my daughter have equal right. Till my son is alive, my grandchildren cannot claim anything. Till my son is alive, my daughter-in-law cannot claim anything. Whatever my son will get, they will claim out of it. But my wife is not a co-partner. She is simply a member of HUF, but she have full right to my asset. Equal right. If you make a four-part, she can voluntarily surrender, that is a different thing. Otherwise, she have an equal right. My daughter-in-law will have a right in her father's HUF. My wife will have right in her father's HUF as a co-partner. But my daughter, even already married, will have right in my HUF. So daughter's right has been strengthened to many times. What happened? Daughter was not happy at an in-law's place. Parents were not ready to accept after death of father and mother. Mother were not cooperating with her, and she was in a complete panic. And Supreme Court and High Court and government also realized. And then law was amended. When child is born in a family, she have equal right. So it is not retrospective. It is not prospective. It is a retroactive. Means prospective it is there. But earlier also, if partition had not taken place, father, mother, that daughter and father both passed away, then also it is active from the day of the birth. So it is a different third word now, retroactive. So daughter is entitled from the date of her birth. But right is given after 9 September 2005. If partition taken place, I told you 2012-2004, then it will be valid, otherwise not. And why 2012-2004? Because this was approved by Rajya Sabha on that day. This is signed by President of India from 9/9/2005, but approved by Rajya Sabha on particular day. Now in our India, we have two Hindu law, there is a two system. One is a Mitaksara law, second is a Dayabhag law. We'll not go into detail why name is Mitaksara and Dayabhag, but I will tell you shortly. Dayabhag is applicable only in the Bengal and Goa. Kerala mein it is, HUF is not there, it is already abolished. But other part of our country, except Goa, Bengal and Kerala, Mitaksara is applicable. So all amendment, whatever has taken place, they are already Mitaksara. Because Dayabhag mein, Karta have all the right. Karta have power to distribute, when he want to distribute, how he want to distribute, all powers are with the Karta only. But Mitaksara, which is applicable in 98% of our country, their amendment is there in Mitaksara law. So Karta have power, but at the same time, Karta have a restricted power. So Karta cannot dispose of property of HUF whatever way he want. So he is holding only as a manager. The property belongs to the whole family. So he has to maintain the customary as per the rule. Many times when we say HUF means we all take a food at a common kitchen. That is not required now. You can stay separately, still you can have part of the HUF. You can stay together, but still there may not be any HUF. So common kitchen, common all that is all out now. Now whenever we say HUF property, it goes up to the third gen. For example, my assets is there. I am the head of the family. I want to make a partition. My son will get equal right. But let us say son is not there. Then it will go to his children. Let us assume that my grandson is also not there. He also predeceases me. Then it will go to his children. Then after this third generation, fourth will not come. After my death, fourth generation automatically will be added here. Similar will be daughter's right. Daughter is not there. It will go her children, then her children, then her children. But after third generation, means me, my son, my grandson, my great-grandson, up to this it is a binding. After that it is not applicable. That person will be added, fifth person, only in death of my case. So if after my death, fifth will be added. After death of my son, another sixth generation will be added. So this way, any point of time, if somebody is not there, fourth generation will be beneficiary or co-partner or whatever we call. But at the same time, if son is alive, grandson will not get anything. If son is not there, but whatever son will get, it will go to his HUF only. And son will be able to distribute as per his HUF only. Then from the Supreme Court is given a number of other observations, but I'm just telling you short. Effectively, enlarging the daughter's right, that is a main. Now, why they have done, they've given certain example which I not bother just now. I think this was the gist of Supreme Court. The daughter have a right from date of a birth, whether father is there or not there, whether child is there or not there, her children will get the asset at the time of partition. Before 20 December 2004, partition has already taken place, matter ends. Now friends, I will take another 5 minutes and just tell you in short what are the basic concept of HUF. Because even daughter have a right, but with her consent, what is possible? So I will just tell you shortly. Of course, daughter have equal right if she wants, but in case she don't want, then unequal partition also is possible in HUF. HUF apply only to the Hindus. What is the basic concept of HUF? The HUF will be formed only on case of a marriage. Many times client come to me. If one boy came a few months back, he said, my father have HUF, my brother have HUF, I have no HUF. Why? They pay less tax, their income is divided in two parts. Why I pay tax? So I say, are you married? He said, no. I said, get married, automatically HUF will be there. Even after marriage, divorce take place, but still HUF is there. So in that way, and again I told you, HUF apply to Hindu, Jain, Sikh, etc. And whatever benefit is given to individual, income tax fine. Now the income, wealth tax, gift tax is not there. But otherwise, whatever benefit to individual, same is given to HUF. So for example, I have income of 30,000. I am liable to pay tax of say, for example, 7 lakh rupee. If I have HUF and so 15 lakh income in HUF, 15 lakh in individual, then my rate of tax will come down to, instead of 7 lakh, it may work out to 3 lakh rupee. So I may save 3-4 lakh of rupee because of a parallel file. So that is possible only, but that is applying only to Hindus. Hindu means Jain, Sikh, Buddha and Hindu. It will not apply to Muslim, Christian or Parsi. Now it is not that attractive because there was a time when income tax was at the rate of 97.78%. Wealth tax was there 13%, gift tax 85%, estate duty 85%, expenditure tax 60%, and that time if two file was there, it was big relief to the citizens of this country. Now rate of tax also gone down now. Now there is no gift tax, no wealth tax, no estate duty, only income tax. That also in case of maximum is 30%. So now there is a big relief. So now it is not become that important. But olden days it was very, very important. Now let us take a partition of HUF take place, father's HUF. And they have 4 sons. And let us say 4 sons, 2 daughters and wife. So total 7, and father is also alive. So total 8 part will be there. Let us assume all get equally. Now all son who is married, it will go to their HUF. If their HUF file is not there, from this money HUF file will be formed. Mother's share will go to her individual. Daughter's share will also go to her individual. And to a 2 brother who is not married, it will go to their individual. The moment they get married, this money along with the accumulation fund will be transferred to HUF. So HUF is a separate entity altogether. Even one male after marriage, if divorce take place or wife expires or something happen, his file HUF will continue. At the time on HUF, how money will come? Either partition of my father's HUF, somebody can give me a gift, somebody can make a will in my favor. Then with that money, HUF can be formed. Again, individual to HUF transaction when you do, normally, we cannot give loan when 20,000 rupee in cash. You cannot repay the loan more than 20,000 in cash. But transaction between individual and HUF to individual, there is a board circular, there is a section of 269 SS, 269 T, 269 ST. Those sections are not applicable. One person can be cut off more than one HUF. For example, my grandfather passed away. After my father was the eldest brother, he also passed away. Then I will be cut off and no other person is there. So I can be cut off my grandfather's HUF because my grandmother is alive. I can be cut off my father's HUF after his death. I will be cut off my own HUF. So my parental HUF I can be cut off. But I cannot be cut off my son's HUF. My son's karta will be his son or his wife will be the manager. And now partial partition I told you not allowed. Earlier it was allowed. HUF can pay interest to the individual. HUF can pay salary to the individual. HUF have more income. If HUF have less income, then HUF can take loan from the individual without interest, and invest on interest. So all these plus minus planning is possible because in four corners of law, if you can avoid the payment of taxes, that is permitted. Evasion is not allowed. Avoidance is allowed. I try to cover actually because we have a session also for question answer. So we'll cover that. We'll take that.
Vimalji, will you speak a little bit on the Christian Succession Act, what applies to them, and the...
As the Christian is concerned, Indian Succession Act 1925 is applicable. So, and if Christian want to make a will, like Hindu, whatever they are making a will, Christian can also do that. Hindu, there is of course separate Hindu law, but if Hindu person also is making a will, he is making under Indian Succession Act only. If there is no will, then Hindu Succession Act applicable. So whatever way I explain you for the Hindu, same apply to Christian. But if Christian will not make a will, then it will be divided equally to all son, daughter, wife, children equally. But if make a will unequal, want to give everything to wife, or want to give with the condition, giving to son, provided he take care of wife, everything is possible. Whatever is possible for the Hindu, same apply to Christian also.
Yeah, can you elaborate on the Muslim law a little bit?
Yeah, Muslim law, there is a separate law. For Shia separate, for Sunni separate, and there under the law they cannot make a will of more than 1/3 of their asset. 2/3 will go as per the law, their Muslim law, personal law, and 2/3 may again male will get double than the female. This is their law. But for example, let us assume I am a Muslim. I want to make a will. I want to give equal to my children. I don't want to follow Muslim law. Then in my will I have to write, I am making will under Indian Succession Act 1925 and I am not making under Muslim law. Then yes, it will go under the Indian Succession Act. Now I can do whatever Hindus can do, whatever Christian can do, same thing I can follow there.
Also, sir, we've also received a couple of other questions as well.
Yeah.
This we've received multiple times. The question is on how does a Pagadi system house devolve and who can claim a share in it, and what is the legal position of the shares of an heir in case of redevelopment of such a property? So if you could shed some light on this.
Very good question. Actually what happened in Bombay in olden days from 1925 to 1960, all properties were the tenanted property. Pagadi system, it is known as a Pagadi system. Somebody will construct the building, on top floor he will stay, he may have shop on the ground floor, and in between he will give property on a rent by taking some money under the table, which is known as a Pagadi. Now so these all Pagadi system properties are covered under Maharashtra Rent Control Act. There is another development has taken place, leave and license, which is covered under Easement Act, and long lease more than 3 years, goes up to 999 years, is covered under Transfer of Property Act. Now, any property received under the lease for remaining period, it can be given under the will to any person. Leave and license is for a personal purpose. If in case of my lease agreement is for 5 years, and I already completed 2 years, and after my death take place, property goes back to the landlord. But with the consent of landlord, we can continue for my legal heir can continue for another 2 years as per the agreement of 3 years. Now, as far tenancy right is concerned, really speaking, it cannot be built. But nowadays in Bombay, Delhi, Bombay, particular Opera House, Girgaon, Kulaba, Kalba Devi, more than 3,000 buildings are dilapidated condition. They are going under redevelopment. And government is also giving a lot of incentive. Even normal FSI available is 3. They are giving up to 6, 7. If you already consumed earlier, you take this, you take that. And there is a cluster development. 4, 5 buildings come together and they construct, so they get more FSI of one more. Accordingly, number of facilities has been given. And when building go under redevelopment, person get the corpus, which is again tax-free, hardship allowance tax-free, rent, person spend, then it is not taxable, otherwise taxable. And earlier person was occupying only 100 square feet, he will get 400 square feet. So the tenanted property now also have a value. Legally speaking, as per the law, tenanted property cannot be built. But in practice what happened, any son or a daughter staying with the parents at the time of their death will automatically, landlord has to transfer in their name. Similar way, my father is a tenant in say market, Jagri Bazaar, and landlord is say Mulji Jeta market. And I am doing business with my father at the time of his death, then that tenancy will come to my name. So normally, and the will it is not allowed, but by writing also will not become invalid. So it is better to give his so-and-so son is staying with me, because law also says the same thing. Maharashtra Rent Control Act also say, so and so person is staying with me, and after my death, this tenancy I request landlord to transfer in name of my so and so son. So there is no confusion. Other legal heir cannot come and claim problem. Similar way for commercial property also I can do. And in case meantime property go under redevelopment, then that child will get the property. So that what I feel is appropriate. But legally speaking, it is not legally it is not allowed to write, because I can write my property. Here I am not the owner, I am a tenant, I am monthly tenant. The rent I pay for 1 month, automatically next month is renewed. I pay for the next month, third month is renewed. So I am not the owner, how I can make a will? But in practice, we are making every day.
Yes, thank you for that. There's another question that somebody has asked. The question is about a case, Indrani Vahi case. So there is some confusion on that case about the nominee becoming owner of the father's house after his death. So is that so right now also? And to whom is this judgment applicable?
In WhatsApp, a lot of things were coming in this actually. This was some case of a redevelopment and not a normal transaction. So their facts, of course, I've not studied that, but normally nominee is a trustee appointed by the person to distribute the asset as per the law. For example, let us take example, I appoint my nominee. My intention may be very clear: after my death, the flat must go to my wife. Now, I made simply a nomination, not a will. My wife sold the property, and let us assume she gets 6 crore rupees on sale of that particular flat. She will not able to keep 6 crore with her. 2 crore will be given to my son, 2 crore to my daughter, because my wife is holding only the trustee as a nominee. And asset will be divided as per Hindu law, where my son, my daughter, my wife, all are equal. So nominee is a trustee, but case what you are referring is some, of course, I also seen a lot of thing on WhatsApp, but that was something to do with redevelopment or some different thing was there, deemed conveyance or something. But nominee is a trustee. Even after that judgment, Bombay High Court has already given 3-4 judgment, and Bombay High Court very clearly says nominee is not the owner, he is simply a trustee. Nominee cannot make further nomination against that, because he is holding only as a trustee. How we can nominate? For example, I am working in Bank of Baroda. At my disposal, 5,000 crore rupees there. But at the end of the day, I will get salary of 3 lakh rupees. What is fixed with me? I cannot call all my relatives and सबको लेके जाओ 50 lakh रुपया. So that way, nominee is holding as a trustee.
Thank you for that. There's a question that somebody's asked that person lives in the United States of America. So can they make a will in the United States of America for a property that they hold in India?
Yes, legally, yes, he can make a will there. But whenever we apply for the probate, what will happen? That will be given to the High Court. If properties are such that no probate is required, then matter end. But then what will happen? In case he is to apply there also probate, then he will have no copy. Or he applied there for the US asset, then India may be have no copy. So it is advisable for practical purposes to make a separate will. For Indian property is separate, United States separate. But legally what you say is correct. Many of my clients make a will, but they have no property in USA. They have property only in India. So they send me the original will, we give to the High Court, and probate is given by High Court.
So you had explained about the Hindu Succession Act, the Muslim Act, and the Christian Act also. If you could also shed some light on the Parsi Act, that will also be really helpful, because I think we've had questions on the Parsi Act also.
Like, Muslim, Parsi have also their Parsi law. And that also asset will be divided as per Parsi Act. But if Parsi also wants to follow the Indian Succession Act, then first line he had to write, I am making will under Indian Succession Act. I am not following the Parsi law. Then yes, he can also make like Muslim and Christian. And Parsi Act is also simple, not like Muslim, the double should be given to male and one single to female. There is no complication. Very, very simple law.
Oh, okay. We can also take some questions from the audience. But before that, a couple of reminders that I wanted to share. A lot of you have been messaging us on personal and also here. So this session is being recorded. A copy of that recording will be made available in a day's time on our YouTube channel, Money Life TV. The session is also being live streamed right now on our Facebook pages and our YouTube pages as well. So you can check that out as well. Regarding asking questions, my request is please use the raise hand button option available in your Zoom app. So there's another question that we've had. This is in case of a mixed marriage between a Hindu and a Muslim, or somebody from another religion and another religion. So in that case, then how do you normally navigate the wills?
Yeah. Actually, what happened? Let us say I convert into Muslim. Then today onwards, any partition take place from my father's property, I will not get anything. Let us say my daughter convert into Muslim. Whatever she got till today, that is fine. But today onwards, her right will come to an end. Now, if child is born, say for example, her first married child is born and he was Hindu, child will have the same right what daughter had. But any child born after she converted to Muslim will have no right. Similar way, for example, I am married today. I have made a will in favor of my wife and divorce take place. Then my will have no value. I am supposed to change the will because my priority has changed. I am not married. I made a will in favor of my parents. I got married. Then my old will come to an end and I have to make a fresh will. So religion change, converting into another community, all have lot of effect on this law.
If a father has specified in his will that some property is in the daughter's name, but the housing society does not show the daughter's name, rather the deceased father's name. So how can we resolve this issue?
If father made a will and given to the daughter, you are saying that? Or name is already there of daughter?
So I think what he's mentioning is that father has specified in his will that the property is in the daughter's name, but the housing society does not show the daughter's name. So how do you handle that
now,
issue?
For example, housing society mein name of father is written, but purchase agreement mein daughter name is there. Money is paid by the daughter from her bank account and wrongly name of father is written. Then of course society will change it, because even yesterday one jeweler apartment, one of my client wanted to give to the wife. When he went to the society, he said wife name is already there when property was purchased by him. So that way, if some mistake is there, it can be rectified. If father is paid for it, father is the owner, father name is there, then of course either he can give under will or he can make a gift or he can do whatever he wants.
So in connection with that, there's another question that if a husband purchases a flat and he registers it in his wife's name, but all the payment is being made by the husband out of his income. So after the death, what is the position in that case? Can the husband say the property belongs to him and can he gift, or the will, can he gift it, or the said property belongs to the legal heirs of the wife, or how would that situation be handled in this case?
In this situation, what will happen? Under the general law, wife is the owner because everything in her name only. Under the income tax law, husband is the owner. So as far as will is concerned, this is covered by different law. Income tax department nothing to do with that. So as far as other law is concerned, husband is no more now. So wife will become owner absolutely, property purchased by him in her name. And again, a daughter, son, wife, both person name I be purchased, that is fine. If I purchase a name of somebody else and I am the real owner, then it will be treated as benamidar and some different law will be applicable and may create a lot of complication. So in this case, after death of husband, property will be treated as a wife's property.
Okay. So this happened immediately after the judgment was passed, the Supreme Court judgment about daughters getting equal rights in the property. A lot of messages started coming around that this is a little biased because the daughter gets married off and she gets a property and now she's claiming property from my dad also. So can you just maybe also clear out that doubt that people have been sharing with us?
Actually, what happened before Supreme Court, it was taken as like, the judges must have number of other cases, must have seen in their life. His daughter was not getting respect in the in-laws place. Father was also not cooperating. After death of a father, brother was not allowing daughter to enter the home. So it is just something like that. Otherwise, normally Hindu customary earlier, when daughter get married, father give whatever is to be given to her at the time of wedding. And she ceased to be member of your family. So now I know a lot of problem will be there. That is why Supreme Court say cut-off date is 20 December 2004. Otherwise, it would have opened. Number of daughters must have filed case against the brother. So I personally feel in one way it is a good. Daughter and son both are equal. Another way it is not good also, because father has already given a lot of money to the daughter. They are claiming, so it is all complicated thing.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
One question that I want to ask is, Ms. Punya, would you throw some light on trusts that are created? Because a lot of people
Yes.
how to create a trust, especially if they have a child with special needs and they're worried about who will look after them. So, in your experience, who should they appoint as executors and how can they ensure that what they want gets done once they're no more?
I will give you a real example. One of my clients, he's a builder. He is doing very well. He was the member of parliament also. He had a lot of money. But he is sure, he has two sons. One is involved in the business, this building line, and second is involved in the film industry. A person who is involved in film industry always make a losses, and he's sure that he will not able to maintain himself after the his death. He's already 90. So what he has done under will, he already formed 8 trusts today. 8 trusts means one for the 3 charitable trusts, 5 family trusts. And again, what happened? As on today, he has transferred only 10 lakh rupee to all the trusts. But under the will, he made a provision. He has got big bungalow in Bombay, where maintenance cost also comes into 30, 40, 50 lakh rupee per year. So he said, after my death, 10 crore rupee will be transferred to trust number 1. The trust name is also Bungalow Trust, Bombay Bungalow Trust. And that bungalow will be taken care of by this amount, the interest of this amount. Another bungalow in Rajasthan, he made another trust, and his son and another, he is a daughter-in-law, whom he have good faith and they will be able to manage. They are the trustee. But finally, money is given to trust. So trustee cannot even misappropriate. He given with specific direction only. And just now they have transferred 10 lakh, but 10 crore will be transferred after his death from his capital, which he already have. Then the bungalow of Rajasthan will be taken care by another 5 crore rupee he will transfer, and interest that will be managed. He transferred 50 crore rupee in the family trust, so-and-so family trust, and that will take care of children's education, medical expenditure, kitchen expenses, and all other expenses. Then he transferred another 50 crore to one business trust. If whenever any business want money, they will borrow from this trust, pay interest at the rate of 6%, and that trust will be run. Another 100 crore rupee, he's lot of involved in political activities. He said 100 crore will go to my political trust, and that interest only will he spend on the political parties. And then whatever left over after and he formed 3 charitable trusts. One is the cricket trust, where only money will be given for cricketers. Second is the Kalakar trust. Any person come under TV serial or film industry, that will be taken care. And third is education and medical trust. And all where 10 crore will be transferred in all the 3 trusts, and they are exclusively charitable trusts. So we are registered also under charitable trust. And money will be transferred. And so what a person in lifetime feel, okay, whatever so he is maintaining today, tomorrow children may not maintain. So in this situation, let us say I have handicapped child. Till I am there, I will take care of him. My wife will take care. After our death, another children may not take care. So I can form a trust, make 2 trustee who is known to me, who is interested in my children. If I make some text, normally many times Raja Maharaja made Bank of Baroda as a trustee, Central Bank of India as a trustee, and what happened? You want to withdraw 50,000 rupee, you go like a beggar to the Bank of Baroda. And you to go 10 times, then you get 50,000. So you to appoint some executor who is of your confidence, trustee, and also in case of death of that trustee, who will be another trustee, and give direction. Money will be kept only in the escrow account. No money will be spent in the share market or speculation or this or that. So money is safe for child, and money will be spent like this. Full direction can be given and trust can be made. For like a widow, wife, daughter, such trust can be made. But under will earlier, you are allowed to make a 10 trust. But now one can make only 1 trust, and 1 trust is allowed. But for example, if somebody want to make a charitable trust, after my death, my children already have a lot of money. Nobody bother about my money. And whatever little money I have, I want to transfer to a charitable trust. We'll take activity of the medical or education or whatever I want. And that can also be formed under the trust. So 1 charitable trust can be formed, 1 family trust can be formed. But in this, another client case, the 8 trust is already formed in the lifetime. Only money will be transferred there. That's all. So that is also...
2 more questions arise from this. One is that, we read in the papers when something goes wrong and the trustees don't follow what has to be done or misappropriate. So we read those exceptions. In your experience, what happens? Do the trustees follow what the will wants? And the second thing is, when you talked about these kind of cases where there are 8 trusts and there are trustees appointed, these trustees are not going to live forever, right? So the trust can live forever. So what happens? What is the succession plan for the trustees?
Yeah, they made a provision in case of this son and his wife, if they passed away, then their children or the other brother's children will become the trustee. And like that way, because it's all family matter. And as far as other trustees is concerned, the charitable trust, they have given power to these 2 trustees. When 10 crore will be transferred, the 2 trustees will take more 2 trustees and they do the charitable activity. In case of death of any person, they will appoint another trustee. So such provision is there in charitable activity, and then outsider also is involved, so work will go on smoothly. And a trustee is concerned, you said correctly, whether trustee can misuse, it happen only once in 100, but yes, it happen also. But so basically what happened when beneficiary For example, I appoint one person as a trustee, and they give direction to my wife, son, and daughter will be given equally. Trustee want to misappropriate something, and my wife and son and daughter have come to know, then they can file case against the executor, the trustee, that he is misusing this, so remove him. And if court is satisfied, he will be removed, and all the three beneficiaries will become the trustee or executor of the trust or the executor of the will.
So one more question, Vimalji, which is about the probate. You know, people are very, very worried about the probate and how to get around it. And, you know, what can they do in terms of getting succession certificates, other ways around it? First of all, I think a lot of people have a question about where is the probate necessary? You already said it's only the Madras, Bombay High Court and Calcutta. But is it only the High Court jurisdiction? For instance, someone wants to know, will a probate be required for Nagpur? I suppose it comes under Bombay High Court.
Yeah, actually, it is a whole Maharashtra probate is required, whole Bengal probate is required, and only Chennai probate is required. Other part of the country not required. But in Maharashtra, it is very popular. Everyone talk about probate without understanding or with understanding. But actually, what happened? Probate is the instrument which give right to transfer the property in name of somebody. Probate, nothing is there. What will we make? Same is copied by the judge and just sign. And before that, there is a procedure. For 45 days, they keep on the notice board. Any person want to raise any objection, he can come. Or we can file the declaration of all the legal heirs that we have no objection in this will or this probate. Nobody has filed the caveat or challenge that item. And then probate is normally granted by the judge. And of course, it take a time, 6 months to 1 year. Expenditure, professional fees also roughly 1 lakh rupee. Legal fees 75,000 rupee. Kolkata 50. Chennai 25,000. And so actually, particularly when government is involved somewhere, BPT, collector, or municipal corporation is the owner, state government is the owner of particular land, central government owner, then they don't transfer without a probate. In a cooperative society, bank deposit, other investment, shares, we can file a nomination or we can have a joint ownership. So that is all permitted. So probate, yes, it is a complicated thing, and many times I happen, because I remember 10 years back, whenever I apply for the probate in High Court, one Ashok Solanki from a Rajkot always used to raise objection. He always send a bogus. And if we write to him, what document you have, how you can say you are the son of, adopted son of my father. If simply write one postcard, contact my advocate Nani Palkiwala, he will give you all the paper. And that time he was not even knowing that Nani Palkiwala no more at that point of time. So that way many person, wrong person also come. 1 or 2 party also come from some Dadar or I don't know, Kolaba area, and they also raise objection. If you give them 500 rupees, they will give you NOC. So such nuisance value is also there, but nowadays it reduced substantially. 10 years back it was lot.
One question that's been asked is that apparently NSC and HDFC Securities and others are offering e-wills. So how valid is an e-will?
Actually, what honestly, I have not studied e-will means what e-will?
That it's done online. So, you know, can you just...
Okay, so clauses are same. Because I remember ILFS invited me once to explain the provision of will, and they also started some system. Then of course the company itself difficulty.
No,
so,
what about witnesses and signatures? E-will will have a digital signature or?
Yes. Without 2 witnesses, the will is not valid. Because I told you, I had one case in Pune, they've come here for consultation. They had an asset worth 30,000 crore rupee. Person had already made a will. He had 1 wife, 3 children, son, daughter, and 1 son with 1 wife. And second lady was staying with them, and there also they had 1 daughter. And he provided nicely for everyone. But he did not take a signature of 2 witnesses. He was not doing, I will be no more in few days. And he said, I will take the signature later on, and not taken. So we'll have no value. And now litigation is going on. And I'm sure that 10% will become crorepati, 10 advocate will become crorepati in that case.
Okay. One more question is about the family arrangement. So when there is a family arrangement, there's an agreement, has that got to be documented and registered to have validity?
As such, family arrangement is applicable to all the community. Christian, Parsi, Muslim, Hindu. Like I told you this earlier, whatever we talk about will and other thing, that part, Hindu undivided family, applicable to all the Hindus. But that applies to everyone. In Hindu law, if partition is to be done, it is to be done a complete partition. Partial partition is not permitted in income tax. Under family arrangement, you can do everyday partition. There's no problem. Today you divide movable, tomorrow you divide immovable, tomorrow you divide partly, you divide only income, not the wealth, and you can do whatever you want. So family partition also, arrangement, if it is really recorded as a family arrangement, then of course stamp registration is required, stamp duty is also required, and property will be allocated to all the person and their arrangement is that the total value में one has to pay 2%. In partition of HUF, one share big, for example, there are 4% in the HUF partition. One share, biggest share, for example, you give equal to all four. One is exempted, 3 part में 2% you have to pay. For example, one person with the consent of other member get 90%. On that 90% we don't have to pay the stamp duty. Remaining 10% given to other 3%, only 2% stamp duty will be applicable. But in family arrangement, normally what we do, we say we are recording the family arrangement today, which is already taken place yesterday orally. So beginning line comes recording of family arrangement on Mumbai on this date. So once you write this one line, then you don't have to register, and stamp duty also is not applicable. It is on 500 stamp paper because it is not family arrangement such. Family arrangement orally already you have done yesterday. Oral arrangement में no stamp duty is applicable, and you are simply recording. So whenever really property will be transferred, then stamp duty and whatever things will come in the picture. So family arrangement also is very basic, good thing, and your property worth crores and crores can be transferred. No income tax applicable. Property of like Mukesh Ambani's case, Anil Ambani, Mukesh Ambani, they transfer property worth thousands of crores. Not a single rupee was paid by stamp duty or income tax. So family arrangement is like that only.
Arvind, do you want to take some questions?
I think,
directly?
yeah, I think we have a couple of raised hands also. So maybe we can take a question. Mr. Arav Shah, can you please unmute yourself? I think Mr. Arav Shah is not able to hear us. We can move on to the next one. Mr. Salim Sheikh, can you please unmute yourself? Oh, okay, okay. I think Mr. Arav Shah is here. So we are not able to hear you. So can you please be a little loud? Okay, I think there's an audio problem at his end. We'll move on to the next person. Mr. Salim Sheikh, can you please unmute yourself and share your question? Yes, sir. Sorry, sir, your voice is not audible. So I think there's a problem with your audio. We're not able to hear your voice.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
See, my one question to Mr. Punya is that there is a system in Muslim law, hiba, that is called oral gift. By law, it is not registered. This document cannot be registered. Hence, stamp duty cannot be applicable. But in various cooperative society, government offices, banks, this hibanama or hiba document is not being accepted. And there is a Supreme Court judgment of Chief Justice Lodha in 2011 that registration is not at all mandatory. But on ground reality, this hibanama is not being accepted across country.
Because, sir, under Indian Registration Act, no immovable property can be transferred without proper stamp duty and without proper registration. Certain exceptions are given in that. Section 17(1) talks about the shares in a cooperative society. 17(1)(b) again say even in a cooperative society, somebody give a gift, then stamp duty is applicable and registration is must. So, if immovable property is there, then yes, they will transfer it. The maximum they may say give a letter or whatever, or make a declaration of 500 stamp paper, notarize. But if immovable property is concerned, then they may not transfer. But one has to, Supreme Court judgment, one has to study, and accordingly, like, family settlement, I told you. Family settlement also is property transfer from 1 to 2. But that is not binding on others because that is not registered, no stamp duty paid. It is only family arrangement between the family member. So when we really, for example, my property go to my son, my daughter, my say brother, then we have to make a separate document for that. And on that, even family arrangement with no stamp duty. But that document will attract stamp duty and registration fees, and we have to pay that. So hibanama may be binding under the Muslim law to the particular family member or particular person or whatever direction he is given.
Sir, you're on unmute. Sir, we'll have to unmute you, but I'm sorry, we're going to have to move on to the next question because we have a lot of other questions also. Mr. Arav Shah has typed this question. His question is, if my daughter lives in the United States and my son lives in India, does my daughter need to declare the US government about the property and pay tax for that in the US?
Sir, if daughter is going there for a study purpose, then she don't have to declare. She become citizen of USA. he stay working there and staying there and become citizen of USA, green card holder or whatever we call, and then she don't have to pay tax there. She simply, when she filed a return in USA, she has to declare that asset. Because USA may tax is on an income. As far as this asset in India, which is not acquired in USA, not with USA money, whatever income she is earning, and she becomes citizen of USA, then she will be paying tax on the word income. And whatever tax she is paying in our country, she will get set off there. For example, she is citizen of this country and USA may simply she started going. Then India may she has to declare the word income, and whatever tax she paid in USA, she will get off set off here. So whatever properties are in India, they don't have to pay tax there. But if she sale, capital gain come in the picture, then position will be different.
Mr. Kashyap Kapadia, can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much. Sucheta, you have been great inspiration for us from 2010. I've been listening to your programs and everything. And thank you, Punmiya ji, aap to master hain.
Thank you, sir.
I'm a third generation tenant living under Pagdi through my grandfather's succession tenancy. And there's a trust suddenly which has come up for the property because the executor's original expired interstate. Now, they have filed a court case for bona fide usage. And they had admitted that they will file the original papers. But the judges have now, during the progress of the case, asked for the original documents. They have come collectively and filed that the originals have been washed off in 96. So is there a penal action on this, or what is the recourse of action? Because I think there is a big fraud done on this property. And secondly, they have also misused the property under Charity Commissioner's instructions. So two things are there. So how do we fight as a tenant?
So under the law, if any person, I am a landlord, for example, or I may be trustee of some trust, and I need for my own purposes. Own purpose means trust purpose. I want to claim, start some charitable activity or whatever. Then landlord will be within their right to file a case, but court will take its own time. Like when Morarji Desai also, landlord has filed case against the Morarji Desai, and he was the deputy prime minister at that time and later on become prime minister. It took 42 years. And because Morarji Desai was, going in morning walk with Rani Palkiwala, one of his another friend, Morarji have no place. So a friend has said, my daughter, I purchased 2 flats in the Oceana building for my 2 daughters. The daughters are today 10-year-old, and I will give you for few years, you use it, and before their marriage, you give me so I can give to my daughter. Then Morarji was occupying, and Morarji refused to vacate. And end of the day, case was filed against the father. Meantime, the father passed away, who was the owner of the flat. And 2 daughters have filed case against the Morarji. And again, Morarji was repeated by Nani Palkewala. It took 40 years. So end of the day, if for own use, landlord can definitely ask. But whether what misuse they have done, that is a separate provision. But as a tenant, I am a tenant of a property. I am a monthly tenant. If landlord want for his own purposes, he can definitely file a case, but take own time in our country.
Mr. Saurabh Mittal, can you please unmute yourself?
Hello, good evening. My question is that, I am a Hindu and my wife is a Bori Muslim. So there is no conversion that has happened. We got married under Special Marriage Act. Now, when we are preparing a will for ourselves, first question is, can we prepare a joint will? And second, I believe, like you clarified, that both of us can have an individual will, but we have to mention that it is prepared under Indian Succession Act. So I just want a confirmation on that.
Yeah, you are Hindu, correct? So there is no problem for you. It is advisable not to make joint will. It may lead to some another complication. And presently in this situation, when husband is Hindu, wife is Khouja, whatever the number of problems may come. So what I suggest, you make your own will. Give to your wife or children or whatever way you want. Provide, as per normally Hindu law, you can make a will. When your wife want to make will, she also will provide for you, and she will write first line, I am making under Indian Succession Act.
Okay. Raghav Tanaji, can you please unmute and share your question?
Good evening, sir. Thank you for such a nice session. So my query is about my mother had inherited a property which is like a immovable property, and it was partitioned. And so, will that stop her right for equal property as a co-parcel, even if the partition was unequal?
She received from whom? Mother received
It
on
was
the party.
registered.
Sorry?
Yes. The property was partitioned, and it was received by one of the sisters, but the partition was unequal.
Okay. Whatever lady received, it is her individual property. Whatever it goes to the male person, it will go to his HUF. So whatever mother has received on the partition of her father's HUF, or brother may be karta or father will be karta, then it will be her individual property, it will go to her individually. If she made an unequal partition, she signed a document that time, and because it was immovable property, so she must have signed before magistrate also, must have been registered, stamp duty was paid, and then when agreement was executed, if more than 3 years is over, then it is too late to challenge anything. And if you want to challenge, then you have to prove that there was a pressure and this and that and all. So it is not, but it will go to an individual only. She is the absolute owner. She can do whatever she wants.
Thank you for that. So I think we'll move on to the next person. Preet Bose, can you please unmute yourself?
Hello?
Haji.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
Go ahead, Mr. Bose.
Yeah. So I like to ask that regarding wills, is it mandatory for the will to be in, ledger green paper, or normal A4 paper will do if I decide to write so?
Normally A4 or legal paper will do 100%, no problem. But normally what happens, once we are born, death is certain. But when it will take place, nobody knows. So paper should be of durable quality, good quality. So even that take place after 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, that time, paper remain in good condition. That is all. Otherwise, it can be on plain paper. There is no problem. Leave proper margin on the above, left, right, above and below. All the places, 2-2 inch margin, write in good handwriting or get it tight, and that is all.
There's a question from Mr. Abhijit Gosavi. He says, if a father has specified in his will that some property is in the daughter's name, but the housing society does not show the daughter's name, then what is the way around it? Because it's a father's name that's there with the housing society. So do they just need a succession certificate? What do they need?
Father is already passed away.
And there's a will, yes.
Okay. Now, if father say that property is already in daughter's name, so what was his intention actually? He wanted to give property to the daughter. If money is paid by daughter, purchase agreement in name of a daughter, if society only made a mistake.
He's willed it to his daughter, but
yes.
in the society it's his name. So it should be simple, isn't it? A straightforward.
No, father has made a will in favor of a daughter about this property, but in society record his name is there, correct? And but he said that property is already in name of my daughter. Property is already in name of my daughter. I'm giving to my daughter.
No, it's not already in her name. He's willed it to the daughter.
So then fine, no problem. If nomination is filed, then society will transfer it. If nomination is not there, they can go for the probate.
Okay.
Because will is there, then probate. Will is not there, then succession certificate or letter of administration.
Right. Okay.
Mr. Amit Paradkar, can you please unmute and share your question?
Yeah, good evening. My question is, my grandfather 20 years ago sold his property and gave the proceeds to his son. His son then brought a plot of land and constructed a property. My grandfather then passed away 10 years ago, interstate. Would my mother, who is would also have an equal share in that property or the plot of land, is the question. Thank you.
Grandfather is already given to the son, or only purchased in the name of son and money was invested by him?
Purchased in the name of son. He didn't make any will. He just gave him the money to buy the piece of property.
And property in name of his son?
Property was in his name, but the plot of land is in the son's name.
So what property was in his name? Plot only, was only plot only?
Plot, and he constructed the property.
Okay. So plot is in name of a son. Construction is done by the father.
Yes.
Okay. And then income tax record and everywhere like shown like this only. So as far as construction part is concerned, that belong to him, and it will go as per the Hindu law.
Yes.
As far as plot is concerned, which is name of a son, then that will belong to the son.
Okay, but how would you, so you're telling that there would be two different transactions? One on the
Yes. How they have shown in a balance sheet, that is more important.
Okay, or would the...
For example, even the plot is also sold by father only and purchased in name of a son. Then even father is owner for that purpose also. How it is reflected in the tax record, in a balance sheet particularly, if they are maintaining.
But if the registrar records say that the plot is owned by the son...
Sir, I'm going to have to stop you over here because this is more of a personal question which you would have to get a counseling from Mr. Punya ji in private because this is more of a generic question. So we're going to have to move on for that. And we have just a couple more minutes. So I think we'll have to take one last question. Mr. Rakesh Modi, can you please unmute yourself and share your question?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Married daughter है, वो अगर वेल टू डू है, मतलब उसके पास बंगलोज है, मगर सन्स जो है उनको घर रहने का भी प्रॉब्लम है, बट स्टिल देयर फादर्स की जो शेयर है उसमें मैरिड डॉटर क्लेम कर दी. डजंट दिस इज रॉन्ग बिकॉज उसको हस्बैंड से भी मिल रहा है, इतनी वेल टू डू है एंड शी इज नॉट थिंकिंग ऑफ द सन. तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये चीज देखा नहीं, लाइक बिकॉज सन हैज आल्सो गॉट फैमिली टू.
ये आपका लॉजिकल तो बराबर है, लेकिन सब लॉ है तो लॉ है, भी क्या करेंगे. लॉ इज लॉ आफ्टर. ट्रेडिशन तो हम 2005 के पहले ऐसे ही चल रहा था. डॉटर की शादी होती थी, शी टू बी ओनर ऑफ द फादर्स प्रॉपर्टी, इन लॉज में उसका हक होता था. आज ये उल्टा हो गया है. आज मेरी वाइफ का हक मेरे फैमिली में खाली मेंटेनेंस का है और उसके पीयर में उसके फादर की प्रॉपर्टी में उसका पूरा हक है. मेरी डॉटर जिसकी शादी हो चुकी है उसके ससुराल में उसका खाली मेंटेनेंस का हक है, मेरी प्रॉपर्टी में उसका पूरा हक है. तो यू नो इट गोज बोथ वे एक्चुअली. पर अगर सिस्टर थोड़ी भी सेंसेबल होगी तो भाई को ज्यादा शेयर देगी. अनइक्वल तो आज भी अलाउड है, बिकॉज अंडर द लॉ अनइक्वल इज परमिटेड. लेकिन अब सिस्टर बहुत बार ऐसा होता है जिसके पास ज्यादा पैसा होता है उसी को ज्यादा चाहिए, तो और बोलेगी नहीं मेरे को तो ज्यादा चाहिए, तो फिर प्रॉब्लम ही है. डेफिनेटली यस, बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम होता है. देयर इज ओनली वन हाउस एंड 4 brothers आर स्टेइंग देयर. 2 sisters मैरिड ऑलरेडी सेटल. अभी वो फादर की डेथ के बाद 2 sisters आके वो मकान बेचने की बात कर रही है कि बेचो और मेरा शेयर मेरे को दो. विद नो अदर मनी टू गिव टू हर. नाउ दे हैव टू सेल एंड ऑफ द डे. दे वर स्टेइंग फॉर लास्ट 70 years. नाउ दे विल सेल द प्रॉपर्टी एंड दे विल कंप्लीट मेस. सो ये तो हर एक का दोनों चीज है, प्लस माइनस. पर मेरे को लगता है सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजेस जिसने ऑर्डर पास किया होगा या पार्लियामेंट में जिसने 2005 में किया होगा, they must have seen many cases where girls were suffering. In-laws में उसको तकलीफ था, भाई आने को देता नहीं था, father was helpless because he was old. So they must have thought, okay, let us make some amendments. So under the law only they get the right in father's property.
So one question that I have in this connection, Mr. Punya, is that in the Indian system, a lot of girls are given jewelry and, you know, as part of, we say dowry is not allowed, but we know that dowry still happens and it's given. So will that be considered a part of their share? Can it, I mean, it can't be recorded. So from henceforth, do you think it's advisable to record it so that there is proof that the daughter has got some portion at the time of her marriage? I mean, it's called Sridhan, but, you know, dowry is not really allowed, right? So is there a way?
Problem will be there if you say it is not a gift. The gift is always without consideration, cannot be taken part of something. If you say it is not a gift, then it amount to partial partition, which is again not allowed in income tax. So complication to hai hai. Because if had partial partition was allowed, then one can say we make a partial partition, this much has been given to daughter, ab uska right khatam ho gaya, ya to that extent uska right reduce ho gaya. But now partial partition is not permitted and gift is given, which is customary in nature, which we can get. So only way out कि HUF का पैसा अभी जहाँ पे लगे भाई डॉक्टर को ऑलरेडी दे दिया है, तो देन HUF का पैसा कैपिटली कम कर दो. घर का खर्चा, बच्चों का एजुकेशन, आपका ये मेडिकल एक्सपेंडिचर सब HUF पे डाल दो. Whatever HUF is earning during the year, you cannot distribute the capital of the HUF, but whatever HUF earned during the year, that can be divided to member every year for their working or not working or whatever. So कैपिटली कम होगा तो झगड़ा कम होगा, कि ज्यादा पैसा तो ज्यादा झगड़ा है.
Interesting. So I want to make an announcement that the reason why we had this talk by Mr. Punya is that he is really an expert on property and understands this issue. We know that there was an outpouring when there was the Supreme Court judgment. I also see that a lot of you have questions which are very detailed and which are very personal. I want to make it very clear that while our speakers are very generous with their time, if you want your personal issues answered, you have to seek professional help. So even if you write to us with detailed letters saying that you want, your personal things sorted out, as you know, this is a complicated subject, you will have to seek professional help. It will not be answered through Money Life Foundation. Apart from what Mr. Punmya has shared today, apart from the FAQs he has generously shared, and the fact that this recording is going to be available to you. Arvind, you want to take it forward?
Yeah. So like ma'am mentioned a couple of things that I wanted to share before we close. A lot of questions again people have shared, but if you can drop us a mail on foundation@moneylife.in, which is our email ID, we can share a copy of the FAQ with all of you, where Mr. Punmya has very generously shared a lot of questions which will broadly cover the entire spectrum. And we can also share a copy of the recording with you. And once again, it's a request not to share long, detailed questions because we won't be able to provide any help in that. And it's a more personal question. So with that, we come to the end of the presentation. So Punmya, thanks a lot for this. It was a very detailed.
Thank you very much.
It was a very detailed webinar. I think you've answered a wide range of questions and you've spoken for 1.5 hours, giving a lot of detail on this. So I think I just wanted to take a moment and thank you for all this effort. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all of you for joining as well. So with that, we come to the close of this event. Thank you.